Welcome to Reputation Revolution. This is the podcast where we help individuals like you to establish your voice in the marketplace, enhance the credibility of that voice, extend the reach of your story and your message, and finally, extract value from your efforts in building a meaningful personal brand that's both recognized and respected. Now, on with the show.
We hear a lot today about building our personal brand on social media, about being open and transparent, and that well-worn word, authentic. How do we stand out on social media, especially LinkedIn, which, as we all know, is a professional network, where showing up as your real self can be really difficult for some people. Yet we know that dropping the veneer, getting out amongst it, taking people behind the scenes of our business or our professional life, showing our personality and bringing our whole self to LinkedIn especially, this can work wonders in terms of building a profile and getting people to take notice of who you are, what you do, and what you stand for, all hallmarks of professional personal branding. In this episode, I'm going to speak with someone who's gone from scratch, from zero to hero in terms of her LinkedIn presence. It's a great story. I hope you can join us. But first, Reputation Revolution is brought to you by the Credible Authority Academy. Grow your influence, create more impact, learn how to become a credible, influential voice in your industry. Go to credibleauthority.com. If you like what we talk about here on the Reputation Revolution, you'll no doubt be really interested in what's on offer at Credible Authority Academy. Okay, let's get into the show. My guest today is Joyce Ong. Now, Joyce is co-founder of Tax Nuggets Academy, which produces bite-sized training videos for SME accountants and tax advisors. She describes herself as an entrepreneur, a content creator, disruptor, rebel against boring, and saviour from sucky training. Joyce, welcome to the show. Now, before we get going, can you please give the listeners a thumbnail sketch of who you are and what you're doing with your growing business, Tax Nuggets Academy?
Hi, Trevor. So good to be on the show. It's good to finally meet you face to face via Riverside. But yeah, I'm Joyce, the co-founder of Tax Nuggets Academy. We are a video-first micro-learning platform targeted at accounting professionals. So what we do is we collaborate with practitioners in the industry, and we co-create bite-sized videos and cheat sheets and infographics, anything that saves people time, to learn tax and accounting concepts.
Now, you have a mission, don't you? Your mission is to get rid of boring, sucky training.
Yes, save the world from sucky training and eradicate crappy PowerPoint disease.
Yes, yes. It's talking about the pandemic we've just had. It is that PowerPoint disease is indeed a pandemic which shows no signs of abating, but I like it that you're fighting the good fight. Now, we're at the Reputation Revolution show. On this show, we talk a lot about personal branding and building that professional brand in the marketplace and using social media and doing content and all of those things. And I love talking to people who are actually out there doing it and understanding what they're actually doing, how they're doing it. But more so, your story is a great one because you have come from the Australian Tax Office, the ATO, as it's called here in Australia, and now you're running Tax Nuggets Academy. You're an entrepreneur, a startup founder. You got some funding, but from a social media point of view, and I do urge people to check you out on LinkedIn. You are doing amazing posts. I absolutely love you. Cut through with your posts. You get lots of engagement. You're telling lots of stories behind the scenes, and we're going to unpack that today. But really, I guess it's a bit of a story of reinvention, going from the Australian Tax Office to startup entrepreneur. What was that like? What's the story behind that, firstly? Because I'm tipping now, you can tell me I'm wrong, but I'm tipping the ATO is probably a reasonably buttoned-up organisation.
Yeah, I think you would definitely win lots of money on that one. um, yeah, I mean, life could not be any different. Yeah, completely two worlds apart. And so, what's the story? Okay, I've actually been in advisory, so consulting, tax consulting, most of my career. Yeah, more than 10 years, 13 years ish, in a big four accounting firm. And I got really jaded and I was like, why am I making my clients richer? Let's go to the other side and, catch the bad guys. Yes, yes. So, when I was at the tax office, I just found myself being like a broken tape record in terms of when I would repeat some of the lessons, and I was like, let's just make a video so I don't have to bloody keep repeating myself. But there was just so many red tape and issues trying to get something published that I ended up just posting it, like my video lessons, on social media, LinkedIn. So yeah, because I just couldn't get it through within the tax office system. And I got a few followers, and then I decided, yeah, I really love doing it. I'm just going to double down on it, And then the tax office said, that's a conflict of interest because as an ATO, I wasn't a full-time employee. I was a contractor, but even so, you cannot be seen to be providing advice to the general public. And so they told me to stop, but I was like, I kind of really like doing it. So I'm just going to quit. And I gave up, 200,000 per annum to earn nothing. So for the first 12 months, I did not pay myself a salary. Yeah. So, and my husband till today is like, dude, you had it so good at the tax office. Like, are you sure? Are you sure? But in the end, I am finally paying myself a salary. So yeah, hopefully it stays that way.
Fantastic. And that was in, you launched in the middle of the pandemic, May 2021. Is that right? Have I got that bit
That's right.
Right. Yes. So it's still a very new company, only a year and a half.
And a year and a bit. Yep. That's right.
Fantastic. So and it's a great story, and it's a well-worn path, of course, where people get frustrated where they are, and they start up, but it's usually something that I can't, someone's stopping you from doing something when I reckon in the early days of social media, 2007 to 2012, that was the thing. You couldn't even, be employed and go out on social media very publicly. But I thought that those times had passed us by. But clearly, it's
not in government.
Not in government, yeah. But the other thing I'll pick up on is that from a content point of view, which you've turned into a business, and we've seen this before, when people are asking you the same questions again and again, and you feel like you're saying the same things, and to do video, so you can, if half a dozen people have got that question, there's probably a hell of a lot more out there who have got it as well. So that was, just that they're great insights, aren't they? And it's validation that what you're doing is actually on spec, because people want that sort of stuff. Now, you, of course, you do those videos and you drop those snippets out, and there's that side of things. But I want to focus on how would you describe, because you're on LinkedIn, and, for some LinkedIn, most people on LinkedIn are reasonably serious, professional. It's loosening up a lot. I think over the last year you would have noticed, particularly through COVID, it's loosened up a heck of a lot than what it has. It's become more Facebook-ish, some would say. But it's, some people are using it to humanise their personal brand or their business brand a lot more, which is fantastic to see.
Yep.
But you're been kind of, I think, at the vanguard of doing that. But what was it like to go from, in an area where you couldn't do it to having free reign to be yourself? But did you find at any time that, being a professional for 10 years, it's not professional to, have fun on LinkedIn? Or was it a natural, I'm just going to go all out, this is me, I'm going for it? I should have gone back and seen, what was your first Tax Nuggets post?
Yeah.
Can you remember? Did you go all out?
I think so. Okay, so let me tell you, in one word, what it felt like: liberating. So I just felt like I was held back my entire career, and suddenly when I quit, and I did not have a boss and I was my own boss, I just felt like I could say whatever the heck I want, and the lid just came off, and I just, I still remember my first post was like, first Monday, unemployed, self-employed, did not spend the whole day watching Netflix, #winning. And that got like, I don't know, like a few hundred likes. And I was like, hey, I can do this, and it was in the middle of the bloody pandemic. And, Melbourne lockdown was like 5-kilometer radius. Like it was just the harshest lockdown in the world. Right. And, I couldn't meet anyone. I remember going to one single networking event during the pandemic and getting like 12K from that. As in, like, that's the power of meeting people physically. Yeah. Like you definitely do get business. And I just could not keep going to networking events because there were none.
Of course.
It was in that limbo period where we went from one lockdown and then we had no lockdowns and then we had another lockdown. So basically there were just no functions, no events. And so I just, went nuts on LinkedIn, and that's the story.
So in terms of, and I'm just going to try and describe the way you do your posts because they're very creative, and I'll get you to delve into how much time you spend on it now, but in a tick. But one that really just captured me, and it was probably one of your more simpler ones, was that, because you're creating videos for training and people pay a subscription to access your training through the Tax Nuggets Academy platform. But, everything's quite schmick on the front end and what we see. And then you split the screen and you had the photo of what it's like. And, you've got, I don't know, you had a blanket up above the window and, the makeshift studio. And I think I love seeing that because everyone's been showing their great studios, haven't they, during lockdown, and those that do presentations and stuff have got these, some are almost TV studio like, and you've got this makeshift one with blankets on windows and I can't remember if you had pillows to keep the noise down or whatever, but it was just, reality. This is the Instagrammable shot, and this is the reality. And I love that thing. And you've continued on doing that behind the scenes. Do you find that sort of stuff resonates the most?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't say the most. I actually don't know. I don't actually step back and really analyze it properly. I just do it and then see what happens, I guess. I guess behind the scenes, really, it's just me. Like, I have nothing to hide, and I think it's just fun, showing people what it's really like to be a startup entrepreneur. And I think it wasn't pillows; it was actually little towels to hold up the sheet onto the window because I didn't have the proper clips. But rest assured, now I have bought proper curtains to hide the light. So I've got good lighting now. But I think so some of these posts are a little bit manufactured. Can you believe it or not? But one of the first things I did when I quit my job was to do a copywriting course. And I don't know if you heard of The Copy Cure by Laura Belgray. She's one of my favorite copywriters. I paid like $2,000 for it, right? And my gosh, it's like the best investment I've ever had. But because it's not just about writing, it's about exploring human psychology and learning how to tap into people's brains, I guess. And one of the things I didn't learn from her, but from somebody else, is what's called the pratfall effect. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, it's out of movies, isn't it? Like it's.
I'm not sure, but it's about showing your vulnerable side will actually make you much more likable.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people do that wrong on LinkedIn. Like the crying CEO guy, like it's too manufactured. But there's a way to do it with finesse, and there's a wrong way of doing it, which is like all the humble brags on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
so I think,
and overly serious about it as well. It's in Australia we call it taking the piss, really, don't we?
Yeah.
I mean that's the thing. I think Laura Talking Shrimp, is that her business?
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's amazing. Yeah, she's great. and oh, that's good to know that, like, as again, people think, oh, this is all, and it is you and it's natural, but you've always, when it comes to content creation, and even if you've been doing it a while, you're learning all the time. I mean, if you look back at your early posts versus what you're doing now, there's always improvement, but you can only improve by doing it. Like, that's the thing.
Exactly. So I think that, it might seem like it's so natural and effortless, but the truth is, it does take a bit of effort and trial and error, practice. Yeah, like you said, just do it and slowly improve.
Yeah, and you've been pretty upfront. Like, we've never met, but this is what I'm gleaning from just following you on LinkedIn. But like, you're out to promote your business, and this is the way you do it, and you're not really talking tax. If you do, I don't really see much on the tax side. It's more about the journey, or you've been invited to an event and you go there and it's a big boardroom or whatever. And it's all old men.
Yeah.
And then, it's how you confronted with that, but then how you enjoyed the night. And the other ones that I think of, you don't mind some meme stuff as well. How sneaking some memes in there as well. Do they? You're finding they work? My favourite currently is one of your latest ones where you're dancing and to celebrate something. It was a good
we hit
20K a month income, was it?
Yeah. So we hit $250,000 annual recurring revenue. So just sneak the million in there because it sounds so much better than 250,000. But just going back to using social media to promote the business. If like I tell my co-founder this sometimes because I think like sometimes he thinks that it's just for fun. But if you go back and read every single one of my posts, it's all about my business. There is no post that is just for ego. Like everything is like today it was like, great moments in business, all the milestones, and then really great moments in business of all the gifts that I get from my employees and I got a present from one of our collaborators. So there's a human side of it, but always the main purpose, and I never forget, is about promoting the business. And then yesterday, what was the post yesterday about? I was saying like I was really tired. So it's like a vulnerable post. Like I didn't sleep much, but it was because I was preparing for a really big event for the business. So I think, when you're using socials to promote the business, don't forget that. I think I sometimes also tend to like, when it's just a purely personal post, I go like, is this really for my business or am I doing this just for my ego? And there's a fine balance there, I think.
Do you pull out of posts, like go down the track and say, no, this is not right, this is just a bit
all the time?
So self-censorship, I suppose, to a degree, that is. Or I'd like to say the judicious selection of content topics. But why this is fantastic, because it is like, you're the founder. You've got other people in the business now. There's 3 of you. But there's, as the founder, it's a personal brand, but we've at the start of this season 6 of the podcast, we did a number on personal brand versus business brand and which one comes first. So I'll put that personal brand, business brand. How have you struggled with that, or you just gone with it? They're inextricably linked, so you've got to, one is part of the other and vice versa. How have you approached did it give you, cause you much angst, I guess? How much do I promote myself? How much do I promote the business? What does that look like?
Yeah, it gives me angst every day. I mean, I wish that we could just build a business brand straight away, but unfortunately, life is not like that. And really the personal brand is to, build the business brand ultimately. It's not going to happen anytime soon. Like instantly, if I don't put posts up on my personal LinkedIn, the number of followers, new followers per week on our company page just drops. So I know for a fact that my personal posts, and whenever I drop the name Tax Nuggets in, people actually click it accountants actually click it and then go to our company page and then subscribe or follow.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, like I just can't stop posting personal posts. Like I wish I could. I actually do enjoy it, but it's just time, it's effort. It's almost, I would say, half an hour a day.
Right. Okay. I was going to ask that. It's how much are you putting into it a day? How many
Actually,
posts?
I lie. I reckon it's at least an hour. Once I get back to comments, like building the post is half an hour, and then like replying to comments and things like that, keeping the post going to get more views. That's at least another half an hour, if not an hour a day.
Right. And so, in terms of that, how many posts would you do a week?
Pretty random, but I try to post at least once or twice a week. Yeah, I've been finding that it's definitely quality over quantity.
Yeah. I see. This is the thing. I would have just from receiving it, and clearly I've engaged with it, and the algorithm keeps giving it to me, and that's how you build, I guess, following with people who engage with you. But it feels to me you do a lot more than that. So clearly it's because you keep popping up.
Yeah. So I think I do enjoy going on LinkedIn as well and then commenting on my network's posts and things like that. So it's not all just creating posts, but also providing insightful commentary,
Absolutely. And I guess the part of it too is, and the as we record this, I'm not sure which episode this will be, but episode number 232, which only went up yesterday in my head, was with Michelle J. Raymond, and we talked about company pages and how to connect company pages with personal brand pages, and if people are interested in digging a bit deeper in that, and how the two work together. And there's a lot of gold in that from Michelle, who specialises in company pages. So it was really interesting to to see, because there's people, when you're running the business and there's only a handful of, and you're the founder. Well, businesses are run by people anyway, even if it's technology or whatever the product is. There are still people behind it, and that's who we do business with. So building that trust and getting people interested. But it's good to hear that there's, you do mention the name, but it's just as part of context, as part of the story, as part of the journey, versus, hey, we're great, aren't we? Come and sign up here, So it's selling without selling.
Absolutely. So I think one of the reasons also that we're quite successful. Oh, by the way, I'm going to check out that podcast. Michelle, what's her surname again?
Michelle J. Raymond.
Yep, amazing, Michelle J. Raymond. So one of the things that made us quite successful even early on is radical transparency. The fact that I share our KPIs, business KPIs, our financials, our monthly recurring revenue, and churn rate, that sort of stuff. And I think it specifically really appeals to accountants, because we all look at our clients' numbers. And also I deliberately did that because we have a revenue share model. And so I want to build trust and call in, attract eyeballs from potential collaborators to show, hey, we have revenue to share. It goes up and down. So far, it's been going up, thankfully, but it goes up and down. But here, look, we're an open book. Come and work with us. And also, it's great for attracting talent, I believe.
Yeah, I like that, and that's one thing I did pick up on. I guess part of what I do is around, in PR and content is, building trust, and trust is everything in the social currency today. And I like you use the phrase radical transparency, which scares the absolute bejesus out of most business owners, I would imagine. But when you see the action, it's an amazing thing, because people just gravitate to it, and it is the story. Because how many times, particularly on Instagram, but also LinkedIn, people tell the good story. They tell, hey, we just made this big win, or, the only time they pop up is when they won an award. That's the only time you see them. And, the humble brag and all of that sort of stuff. And everything's manufactured and coiffed within an inch of their life, even the photos.
Yep.
Half the time, those people don't look real, and I think that there's such a backlash to that, and that's why the vulnerability and the humanity and the radical transparency really works. And did you find when you first went down the radical transparency path? So the first time you posted about the numbers, it's one thing talking about the startup life. It's another to go in that, which is, you're pretty open on that, and that's that's a good story to tell. It's another to go a layer in and say, this is how much we didn't earn this month, sort of thing.
Yep.
And I guess when you started doing that, you probably you were earning a lot less, so the story was a bit more dire than perhaps now.
Absolutely.
How did that feel? Did it come naturally? What was the response like?
Scared the bejesus out of me, and it still scares the bejesus out of me, right? I look at our financials every day, every morning, and every night. Can you believe it? Yeah.
Well, yes, because of your background.
is accounting as well. So I've been reading about radical transparency a lot, even because I had pretty much 6 months where I was at the tax office, and I sort of knew that this moment was coming. And so I did lots of research on marketing and socials and copywriting. And I really like this radical transparency. It really fits with my whole values. And I am just not the fake it till you make it type of person. I am very much about, this is our business. I mean, I'm just a person here trying to build a business, and also these are my numbers. And if you see something that you can help me out with it, then yeah, please. I feel like it's also I've gotten a lot of mentors as well from just being very open about the numbers. December, January is always a really bad month for accounting firms, because no one's online, everyone's on holiday in the accounting industry. And so I remember, the numbers were really bad in December, January, and it was is this normal? And I got so many responses that said, yep, that's totally normal, especially those that are in reg tech, compliance technology. They're all subscription based as well. And so, I got a few founders replied and said, don't worry, it's totally normal. You're all good. And I feel that's part of the reason why I want to be open as well, because I want to build a network of like-minded business owners to get through it together.
Yeah. And I guess it also enables people to follow that journey, because, not everyone's going to be a customer, but they can like your material, your posts, get along with it, and that helps kick it along to a bigger audience. And yes, your ultimate aim is to get accountants, but at the end of the day is the bigger the reach and all of that sort of thing that, you're going to end up with that goal of building that audience and sometimes, the fans are not clients or customers, but they will advocate on your behalf and amplify your voice, which I think people in the growth hacking industry and the funnels and everything, they don't like the people around. They just want, get me in my zero clients. And I just don't think that's realistic anymore. It's the people around them who influence them and amplify and advocate and support and champion your cause they're just as important. They just might never buy from you because what you're selling is not right, but they love you for who you are. That was a bit of a rant.
No worries.
But I like that. So that journey, but you've also been very open about getting venture capital or seed capital, whatever the correct term is.
It is a venture capital firm that does pre-seed funding.
Right. Okay. Walk us through that. How did that come about? What do they think about you putting all this out there, if they've said anything at all? Because I remember when you were going to pitch to them and you talked about the nerves and all sorts of things. So walk us through that.
I think they're okay with it. They haven't said anything. I'm sure they'll tell me if it's not good. It's, more publicity for them, I guess. But I guess the story is, I still remember it very clearly. I was in McDonald's cafe trying to get out of the house on, I think it was New Year's. It's New Year's, because my kid was at home and she was causing yeah, havoc. And I was like, yeah, I just need to go to McDonald's and smash out some stuff. And
Some
this
burgers or some work?
both. And this post came up on LinkedIn, yeah, and it was looking for founders and co-founders. It was Antler, that venture capital firm, and they specialize basically in they're like a Tinder for co-founders. So they want to try and attract as many co-founders or commercial people, marketing people, developers, tech people, chuck them in a program together for 10 weeks and hope to birth the next unicorn. And so I saw that ad and I just quickly put in a quick submission. I was like, I'm never going to get it, but let's just see what happens. And I got in and then just started the program. And I was like, still really skeptical. I was like, as if you're going to find a co-founder in 10 weeks. Like, finding a co-founder is like harder than finding a partner, you know? But in the second week, I met Ross. Yeah, my tech co-founder, CPTO, Chief Technology and Product Officer. And I think, yeah, the stars just aligned and yeah, I guess my socials as well, and how open I am as a person, maybe resonated with him and we connected and yeah, the rest is history.
So that gives you a fan. Did you get seed funding, or it was about the program and helping you, a bit of mentoring there and putting people together?
So
What's there?
It's both. So it's forming a team, finding a co-founder, forming a team, and then pitching for funding. And that's what we did. And yeah, we got 190,000 pre-seed, and we gave away 12%.
Okay. So that's so clearly too. I mean, your what's his name, Ross? He's the other part of you putting stuff out there is he's going to check you out, of course.
Yeah.
And you want to be working with someone who resonates with you, and that's clients and partners, and whether it's investors and stuff. The whole idea is they're going to check you out anyway. So you might as well be you out there and be visible, because if they can't find anything and what they find is not, doesn't do it the professional you justice, then you're actually doing yourself a disservice.
Absolutely. I am an open book. Like, I am the same person at home with my kid as, on a Friday night drinks or in the office, or not office, home office. And when I'm online giving a virtual presentation, I am the same person. I didn't used to be. I used to be a different person when I was working at an accounting firm, working at the tax office. But finally, like, I can bring my authentic self.
I know. It's a shocking word. Well, it's a great word, but it's been misused for a very long time.
Yeah, it's like I get an allergic reaction just saying it,
But when you see it in action, then it really starts to make sense. So I know you've been on other podcasts and that sort of stuff. How has and I call this earned media. You've earned the right to be on someone's podcast, or in the press, or people sharing your content. All that's earned. You've got to be putting yourself out there to get for that to come back. How has that side of thing been for you? I mean, in terms of getting attention, cutting through, you're clearly doing that. Have you had other opportunities come through as a result of that for other editorial exposure, for want of a better phrase?
Yeah, I think so. So, well, I was on a 2-page spread on a magazine that around 100,000 accountants get. Which is the Acuity magazine of chartered accountants, the official chartered accountants magazine, and that was great. And I think that was just through being very open and on socials. But there are down moments though. And dealing with negative comments, is that something that you explore on your podcast?
Well, I was actually going to ask that question next because of all the opportunities and everything. But I did see you talk about some. I think you used the word brutal comments, and this is on LinkedIn too. These are not anonymous trolls on Twitter, is it? No. We're talking LinkedIn. Walk us through. I mean, if you feel like going down that path,
it's terrible. I think it was my first bad comment on ever, actually. Like, I just feel like I'm this. Sometimes I feel like I'm this, like, girl on Instagram, try to get all the attention. And then the first bad comment, I'm like, oh, it's like, seriously, just grow up. I do feel like that a little bit. But this comment, like a couple of comments were from industry leaders. And that is why I straight away got super upset and almost apologized for something I said, which was apparently gender biased. And but it's out there. There was a temptation to actually delete the post, delete the comment. But I'm just like, hey, this is just me. I made a mistake, arguably a mistake, although I got a lot of private comments as well saying that you did nothing wrong. So I'm just going to leave it there. It's a learning lesson and growing as a person. And yeah, I'm just going to do that publicly as well. Build the business publicly, grow as a person publicly. If you've got any issues with that, unfollow.
Did they have a point, or they've just been nasty?
They did have a point. I do think that some of these industry leaders, they have been through it for many, many more years than I have, and they were trying to say that you can't have posts like this. Someone actually said the quote, I might be misquoting, but if I said this about a female, I would get my funding pulled, which is fair enough. And that just made my heart sink. Like I just thought I made such a terrible mistake, and it was a terrible day for me. I couldn't stop thinking about it, And but then so I meditated about it for a while, talked to my partner a bit for a while. My partner was actually like my husband. He's like, dude, you've got nothing to worry about. I don't even know why. He was actually upset that I worried about it. He's like, what do you expect? You're trying to be a public persona. If you can't even get over this, like, how are you going to survive? Yeah, So it's like, just grow up,
So it's not an ongoing thing. This was more of a one-off?
It's a one-off, I think. But I imagine that the bigger, my following gets, and when I become no longer the underdog, then, there might be more and more of these things to deal with in the future.
Yeah.
And so I'm just getting my battle armor ready and learning how to cope with this. And really, meditation, I think, really helps. And some, Buddhism philosophies and Stoicism.
Yeah, I think the other part of it too is that, as you, I guess, get stronger in your, I'm not saying you specifically, but when someone's creating content, you're forthright with what your views are or how you put it out there. You will alienate people, but the more focused you are, I guess, and the more you know yourself and more with clarity.
Failure. Sorry, you were just a bit stuttery there. Could you say that again?
Sorry. I was just saying that, when you put yourself out there, you're creating content, and not just you specifically, but, anyone who's going out there with a point of view and putting it out in a certain way and putting it all out there, that they will inevitably alienate people, which means you're probably hitting the mark because you can't be all things to all people. So, as they say, if you're loved by a stack of people, you're going to be equally disliked by a stack of people as well. And if you don't appeal to anyone and be vanilla, then you're not going to cut through. So, we see that often, and I guess that's just probably some. I'm just trying to think of the word. It's relevant in terms of if you're getting that means you're probably cutting through. So it's probably evidence that you are actually cutting through with your story and your message and that side of things. So it's not necessarily a negative as much as I understand how it's easy to, we'd all take it on board. And it's good that you've, I think, kept things going rather than just, delete it and all of that sort of things. And we've seen that if people actually do come out and say something and we've made a mistake, then you just say, look, I misguided on that one and sorry, and you take it on the chin and whatever. That's if you do believe you've said something wrong. So I think that there's always ways around it. And if you've built that audience and people trust you and believe you, and then that's a whole positive thing. Where to from here? Do you continue just continue doing this continue building? Is there other types of content you want to do? Because you're very focused on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Are you doing, have you got other ideas around content, other channels, that side of things? What's
Sure.
your thinking around marketing generally with your
Yep.
content?
Yep. So currently, we're doing LinkedIn organic, but then we're also doing sponsored posts, like the minimum $10 a day ads. And then we are sort of so anyone who's clicked on an ad will then sort of be retargeted on
Yep.
Facebook if they're on Facebook as well. And so then we have lead magnets on Facebook. So it's like, give us your email address and we'll send you a cheat sheet. And that has been working phenomenally. Our digital marketing agent said, even within 3 days, one of our lead magnets was 50 cents per lead. And he's like, we have never seen this in our entire career. So that's working really well. So we're going to double down on that. So then they go into our email marketing, funnel. Then we're going to also explore search engine marketing, SEM,
Yep.
Google Ads, basically.
Yep.
That's something we haven't explored, and that will work very, very well for accountants because, like, we Google stuff every day on, what is this section in the 1936 Tax Act, right? And so that
I was going to ask that. I was going to ask you whether you knew that, but
Yeah. So we just don't have the capacity. So at the moment, it's all about like there's just a world of opportunities and shiny objects, and I just don't even know which one to do first. So that's what we're struggling with at the moment: capacity and prioritization. So we are recruiting for a marketing manager, actually. Yeah, so this can be, can I do a little ad? So we are recruiting a marketing manager, that specializes in digital marketing, who's going to be basically our head of marketing. Because we need the specialist and we also need the capacity, basically. But yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, I think where that happens too is that a lot of it starts organic and you build audience, and I think that that's an ongoing thing because that's why not? Why not build your own media, become your own media channel, build your audience, communicate directly with people, then start to get them on email wherever possible, which is good. And now, as we're seeing, you're starting to get the paid element to supercharge your organic efforts, and that is still giving out good information, bringing people into email. And again, delivering good content for them. You're a training organisation, so you've got a lot of good content. And and those that want to take it up a notch and get closer to you and get more, but given it's a subscription based business, then that works as well. So I think that it's good for people to understand that there is a good paid element if you want to supercharge. Some people don't go down that path, others do, but there's a lot of as you're finding, digital plumbing underneath to make sure that all the dots join, aren't they? They come to the website, they've got an action to do, and that's just the digital marketing side of building a brand on top of the brand that you build. But if you don't build the brand, then you'll spend a lot of money on digital marketing for probably not a lot of. It's harder to get the return.
Absolutely. So you know what I'm doing every night? I'm learning Google Analytics on Udemy. It is, it's like a wilderness out there. It is, digital marketing is like a bloody science, it's really hard.
And it's changing all the time.
That's right. That's right.
So, and it's where Facebook meets, and Instagram and Meta meet, and now we've got LinkedIn doing a lot more because that's where your audience is as well, and of course the Google and YouTube. Some people are getting some amazing results from YouTube as well. And a mate of mine who's in social advertising, Miles Harris, who's been on the show before, he swears by TikTok at the moment. He says it's really early days, and the results he's seeing are amazing. So, just another. I think you do really well on TikTok.
But
do really well on TikTok.
Is his business B2B or B2C?
He does both, yeah.
Yeah. So the reason I still don't get TikTok, I don't understand how B2B can leverage TikTok. I understand B2C completely. But yeah, just a bit tough.
Well, I think the key thing with something like a TikTok is that you don't, we think it's teenagers and dancing, and it's moved way beyond that. The dwell time. This is why we're seeing that Facebook is changing from becoming a discovery engine, because TikTok smashed them in video, absolutely smashed them, and people sit on TikTok and they don't sit on Facebook. So they're clearly doing something right. So I always like keeping abreast of it to see. You're right. There are people, how are they doing on TikTok, etc. I listened to an interview the other day with a young lady called Kat Norton, I think her name is, and her handle is Miss Excel, and she's building a 7, maybe 8, definitely a 7-figure business based on TikTok, all around Excel spreadsheets. So, I never think that some of this stuff can't be done, because clearly there are people out there doing it.
So I am an avid follower of Miss Excel. In fact, she inspired me to buy a domain called Miss PowerPoint, but obviously I haven't done anything about it because I wanted to earn 8 figures like her and buy this amazing mansion on I don't know where, but yeah, it just looked amazing. She is, I'm an admirer of her style and the way she does her videos. It's just so uplifting as well on something like Excel, So yeah.
And the story, don't want to go too much off traffic, but off target. But her story and how she started doing it, and the limiting beliefs she had, and how she's had to sort of train herself to think positive around doing this, and that she could do it and help a lot of people is really, it's a good story. So it's not just she came out of nowhere. There's a lot of thought put into it as well. So it's a good one. Check out Miss Excel. And I like the irony that you hate PowerPoint, but you want to become known as Miss PowerPoint. The irony is not lost on me there.
Yeah, I know, that's why it didn't work, right? I didn't have the real underlying belief. But I wanted to get some free advice from you before you go, if that's okay.
For it. Open forum.
So, Tax Nuggets is video first. And, we're sort of, really trying to make the video production really efficient. And that's kind of our real focus. But, every single video or recording can be repurposed into a podcast, because the way we record our these practitioners and these content authors is via an interview format, and then we edit it. So far, we have 3 podcasts because we just don't have the time. Do you think that podcasts will continue to stay? How much effort do you think we should put into, or should we just focus on video?
Look, video is clearly the one, and I know you do some nice graphics and stuff like that, and you've got to pick the videos where there's, it's not too much visual, because that, you sometimes when you're doing a lot of videos, some are more visual than others. So you can make that decision based on, can people listen to this without any visuals? But the way I look at it is, people are visual. Some are visual learners and would rather video. Some hate watching video and would rather read it, and others love audio. Like I spoke to someone the other day, and they said, "Oh, can you give me all that in audio? I'd love it in audio. Send me the audio. I don't want the video. I want the audio." So I think we've got to cater and be aware that everyone learns in different ways, and your stuff is around learning. So
it is.
We're not just talking entertainment here. We're talking learning. So I would, from that point of view, absolutely be doing it. The good thing is, let's do more with what we've got. And so I think the repurposing thing is a thing. And the challenge, as you've highlighted, is the time involved. But you can do it in bulk. There are so many podcast producers, for example, who can do the lot for you. And if you get it to them in bulk, and it's quite a simple job, and they don't have to really do too much editing, top and tail, and a few other things, maybe fix up the audio a little bit, maybe. It's not a massive job, but they can get it all done and up, and you don't really even have to touch it. Because a lot of the podcast people who do the production in the back end, they will do the show notes for you as well. So at quite a cheap rate that I've noticed, certainly a lot cheaper than video. So
Yep.
I would definitely be doing it and definitely be promoting that out as an opportunity.
Awesome. I might get
Sure.
you to refer someone to me. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, can we send people to Tax Nuggets Academy to check out what you're doing? But also, that's just, what's the URL for that?
Yeah, so taxnuggetsacademy.com.au. Yeah.
Nice and easy. And then the other part is you got to follow Joyce on LinkedIn for sure, and just get involved, add comments, share it, like it, because it's brilliant content. But really, see where she's coming from. Hear her story today, but see where she's coming from in terms of radical transparency, personality, being liberated. I think the phrase you used right at the start was the lid's off. I like that. The lid's off, and this is who I am. And it's hard for a lot of people just to be themselves. I get that. I understand it. But the more you do, the better, the better it gets, and people gravitate to people, and those posts work. So you put your own personality in, and be as open as you want to be, and over time it gets easier, and you get used to it, and it pays off, as we're seeing. So, Joyce, thank you for being radically transparent with us here today on the show, and I look forward to continuing to follow your journey.
No problems, Trevor. It was really good coming on board, and thanks for your freebie advice at the end.
No problem. Thank you.
Wonderful. Cheers.
The reputation economy is here. The world today needs more genuine, credible experts and leaders to stand up and share their experience, their wisdom, their stories and ideas. Are you in?